And looks like we're live. All right, everybody, welcome to the next community workshop with a very, very special guest. Everybody knows who this guy is, Technoking, our Solana Schiller that comes across from everywhere. He's like the lone soldier for a while, shooting out like let's give everybody opportunities. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. That was my mic. I thought Techno King, I thought he was a DJ. you know, I figured he was like a DJ, like, all right, techno. And then I realized it's probably technology because of everything he's into, like IoT and everything that he's into engineering. So much pleasure to have Techno King on here. Today we're going to talk about routing and token gating. He's going to show us how to do it. But enough of me. This is Techno Show. Go for it, Techno. Introduce yourself and let's make it happen.
Well, thank you, Billy. My name is Techno, right? I'm a blockchain developer who is the CTO of Texago Technologies, right? It's a research company that researches different applications in Web3 and in the telecommunications space. And so, what we're going to go over today is how you can utilize your digital assets, tokens, cryptocurrencies on the blockchain to create a customized experience on your front end. Right, it's very useful for a plethora of cases. One of which is to have a place for your community to go, have the content gated where people that aren't in your community haven't paid for the content can access it. So we're going to start with this presentation we made. And then after we get through the presentation, we're going to go over some terms and then we're going to start building. And so we created a repo for everybody. We also created a demo link that you can go check out and test it so that when you are done with your version of it, you can see how it should work, right? We also, if we have time, we're going to go over how to deploy it. So this should be a full encompass course. So from the beginning to the end, you should have a working application by the end of this video.
Yes, awesome. Just to recap on that one, Techno, just to make sure I'm on the right page. So like some people that would use like a library that's already out there that has like a token gating system that you're kind of dependent on, we're kind of showing them how to do it without being dependent, right? Like this is your own kind of like fork and go type of thing where you can kind of deploy this almost anywhere.
Yes, so you
Yeah.
should be able to fork it. There are a few libraries that are dependencies that it's going to use.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for it. You can the methods that we're using. You can use it on any chain. Today we're going to be building this on Solana, but we can also build it on Ethereum, Tezos, Bitcoin, probably any blockchain. The concept is very straightforward.
Token gate your ordinals, y'all. Here we go. So I'm going to put that presentation up on the screen. Go for it. Go for it.
All right. So today we're going to go through what's called routing, right? We're going to be doing a Web3 version of this, right? And so what you're going to essentially be doing is you're going to be sending users to various pages on your application or website based on the asset that they hold, right? To start, we're going to break this down into digestible pieces from the beginning and give you some Web3 experience on how to build this from scratch, if that makes sense. And towards the end, we're going to do some more technical pieces. So, what is routing? Right? Routing is the process a user takes to point someone to a specific file or page in your application. There usually is some sort of trigger and an interaction point, which is a button or a hyperlink, and we need to do this to solve these problems right here, right? So generally, we need to solve the problem of authentication, right? We need to figure out which page a user is supposed to be on and which experience they're supposed to get, right? The other problem is that we want to reduce the amount of components on your application because we don't want buttons everywhere, right? We want the right amount of buttons for your application, make it look smooth and make it look good, right? The other piece of this is security. You don't want people getting into your application or into your content without having the paid or being part of the community or contributing in some way And this is why we utilize Web3 to do this, right? It gives you ownership. Um, there are a few other things that aren't in this presentation that we'll probably go over, and it is the concepts that people don't necessarily get initially, right? Most people just skip this, but we're going to go through it, right? So things we're going to go through is what is Web3, right? Why, right? What is a token? What is a cryptocurrency? And what is an NFT, right? Just so you understand what we're building, and not we're not just building it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So Web3 is it's a philosophy, it's a concept, and it is a technique. Um, Generally, the philosophy is sovereignty and decentralization, right? The concepts are utilizing different blockchains and different ledger technologies to facilitate commerce, right? Utilizing a decentralized network, right? And the techniques that will that are used generally are tied to a specific language like Solidity or Rust, right? TypeScript or even PHP or JavaScript. You can build a blockchain or a smart contract in any language. Um, what we're going to go over specifically today is how to use, we're going to use TypeScript and JavaScript to interact with the Solana blockchain and to verify a user has a specific token in their wallet. So let's go to the next slide. The concept is that we're going to be checking authentication using the blockchain, right? We're also going to be allowing people to access this from any device, as long as they have the correct asset in their that in their wallet, right? And we're going to be protecting paid content, right? And so, in practice, we're going to be using an NFT. We're going to be utilizing smart contracts, and we're going to be retrieving information from Arweave. Today, we're not going to go through the process to retrieve information from Arweave, but we'll talk about it.
So just like really quick, just to like give experience to someone that's like Web 2, it's kind of like a username and password we're verifying, right? And they're getting access to their dashboard in a sense. But the only difference is we're verifying a single token in NFT, and it could be a set of regular tokens, like Soul or something, and they have a minimum amount. But for now, we're just using an NFT, and then it's going to take you to their dashboard or your paid content in a sense.
Yes,
Hmm.
it's very similar to the concept of a single sign-on, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to utilize a password because the person has something that's unique to them, um,
Hmm.
that will give them access, and you can give each user a personalized experience based on that. And you don't have to have a multi-stage authentication process to do this.
Right. Just in theory, like if someone had 200 tokens, let's say 200 techno tokens, you can take them one place. Someone had 4,000 tokens, they can go somewhere else. Like you can have direct locations based on that without having have like this token type of, or not bad choice of words, but like this password type of system where you can have tiered accounts where you're routing them over in a sense just by checking their wallet.
Exactly, and we
Hmm.
will see that in the code, right?
Yeah.
You can change it by how many tokens they have, which tokens they have, traits, and also address it by a smart contract address.
Nice.
There's multiple ways to gate. Um, it can get super complicated, or it can be super simple. We're going to try to keep it simple today,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of ways you can do this.
Yeah.
So, let's see what's on the next slide. So we talked about it earlier, but we're going to say it again. Routing is the process of directing user-specific pages, and you need this to put them in the right place at the right time. We're not going to go too much into it, but I'm just going over it one more time. As we mentioned earlier, there's a difference between coins, tokens, and NFTs. We're going to go through the concepts and explain them real quick. Okay, so a coin. a coin or a cryptocurrency is the native asset on a blockchain. It is usually used to pay for transaction fees or infrastructure costs. So every time you interact with a blockchain, you're going to typically utilize the coin, right? And for example, Bitcoin, right? Whenever you want to send Bitcoin, you're going to pay a small fraction of your Bitcoin to the miners to verify the transaction to send it across the network. You do the same thing on Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, uh, all the blockchains. There's some fee that you have to pay to send funds to another user. You might also use the coin in a protocol, right? You might have to pay the fee to for the protocol to go through its steps, to record the transaction, and to populate that onto the blockchain. And there's a small fee for that. And usually you have to pay that with the native currency. Okay. So a token is built on top of your coins and top of a blockchain, right? Generally, you have to mint these tokens, and the process of minting is you have to assign it a owner, an updater, and a symbol, right? And so there's like a ticker on a stock exchange, right? And so each
Mm-hmm.
token generally has its own name. A good example is USDC. It's on multiple blockchains, but its ticker is USDC, right? Or let's think of another one. Pepe coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Pepe coin, right? And so that one is also a token on top of a blockchain, particularly Ethereum and Bitcoin ordinals. I think they have it on the ordinals now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
right? And so the next thing we're going to talk about is a NFT or a non-fungible token, right? So non-fungible tokens are just like the other token we talked about, but instead of having many of the same thing that could be used interchangeably, you can only use, oh, it's something you can only use. Each token has a unique address, and so they're identifiable, right? And so because they're identifiable, they have different traits and different properties that
Mhm.
make each one unique. Particularly, have a different hash address. They might have a different image. They might have different metadata in it. But the idea is that you can utilize these to assign ownership over some type of digital property.
Got it. So just to recap on that, like the coin is like the base layer, like Bitcoin network, Ethereum network, all the people that hold ETH, Litecoin, Solana, Sol, right? The tokens are the stuff that are built in that chain or network. So like ETH, USDC, Pepe Coin, Sol has their own unique, ecosystem as well. And then NFTs are kind of like the one of one, the unique one that has that type of one thing, like a serial number 0001 NFT is like that's the one of one type of thing as well. And then there's those weird like 1155 ones that have those special cases, but these are the three classes that you would probably token gate with for the most part.
100%. Like
Hmm.
you can token gate with wallets as well. That's the
Yeah.
we didn't mention. You can token gate with wallets using an array, and so you'll put all your wallets inside an array. Usually, a wallet. It's usually quotation marks, wallet,
Hmm.
comma, and then your next wallet. Typically inside an array that you'll pass to a function that will check. We'll go through that momentarily. So, our next slide. Here is our next slide. So, you want to gate your content, and you're going to do this for your community. You're going to want to create an experience for them that so that they feel and know that you are taking care of them, and that not just anybody can get in. It's like a bouncer. You have somebody that's strong. Oh, my camera's up here. That's strong. That's at the door, telling you, "Hey, are you on the list?" Doesn't look like you're on the list. You can tell them all you want. I'm on the list, but they pull up the phone and they check your address, and you're not on there. They're not letting you in, no matter what you do. The power of this is you can't beat up the bouncer. You know, the bouncer's a program, and the bouncer is like the door. Instead of you have to take the whole door down and the whole building down to get in, and if you do that, you destroyed your experience. So
Right. Techno's been kicked out of a few clubs, so he knows what's up.
unfortunately, I've also been a VP at some too, so that's also a good thing.
Nice.
I see you're wearing a fuel shirt. That was a great
Yeah,
right there. Their club.
I wear all the free merch anywhere I go. I wear it, so I take clothing bribes all the time. So let me know.
Let me see. Okay, so right now, before we get into the code, I'd like to ask the community, see if there's any questions in the chat before we get to start diving into the code and start building out our application.
We'll give a few seconds for the shout out to see if anybody. I know there's a little bit of delay, but if you have any questions, go ahead and type it in. We can broadcast it to the screen. If not, we can always come back to it in just a little bit. But let's. It looks like nobody's typing, so let's keep it moving.
All right. So to create this experience, we're going to be utilizing a few tools. One of the tools that we're going to use is a front-end framework called Next.js. It's built by Vercel. Most people know about it. Not everybody does, but it's a preferred front-end framework for most, and especially for us Web3 front-end developers. Right? We have Next.js, Svelte, React, Vue, but for me, Next.js is home. To start, we're going to want to install our dependencies, right? And so one of the first things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up your CLI, right? And so we're going to switch over to my CLI, which is WSL. And so I have provided a few links. I don't know how to share this.
I'll paste them out right now. It's the token gated template, right, on GitHub.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sharing that out right now.
We have. I'm gonna send some links for the. Change the view.
Technoking is turning this into Cribs episode 2,
So if you guys see this, we're gonna go through this experience and clear the terminal so there's no cheating. And we're gonna start from scratch. So while you're here, we're gonna prepare the CLI. You need to install a few things, right? First and foremost, I apologize for the phone. We need to install Yarn or Node. And so to do that, you're going to want to navigate to our repository, which has the instructions. Mm-hmm. So if you go here, share a different screen real quick. The information is right here. So you're going to want to install Yarn. You're going to copy that and then paste that into your terminal. Everything you need is installed inside this repository. So let's go back to the terminal. So if you are using Ubuntu, you're going to this is so weird using two devices. You're going to copy that in there. You're going to install it. I should get it installed. Once you have it installed, you're going to create a new root directory. So let's make one. So you're going to do touch d_d, right? That's wrong, but that's what it is, right? And then we're going to cd into it.
For Windows users, that's make dir. I'm a Windows user, so I can't afford a Mac.
Ooh, it didn't populate. Oh, that's a file. My bad. It is MKDIR. The same.
Yeah. We're just cleaning up some files on this code.
All right. So now that you have this, it should be good. Let me start over. So you need to create your Next.js application. So you're going to do an npx create next app at 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do 13 if you want, but I'm doing 12. And you're going to name it. So we're going to name this a token gate and call it a day.
Yeah, for those that haven't used Next 13 yet, there's a few interesting changes. Like the instead of the pages, it has like an app folder, and the latest one, 13, I just downloaded it like the other day. It doesn't have the classic app TX or DS on there, and the index has a different interface. So I don't know how well that works with like the new with wallets like Rainbow Kit or WagMe, because you set it up in those specific directories. So I wouldn't suggest getting the latest version of Next 13. And if you're following along, probably go with the Next 12. Yeah, I had to roll a few back just to mess with it myself.
So while we're waiting on this, we can go through the demo. So
Mhm.
we prepped a demo, and I have shared a link with Billy. He'll share it with you guys soon. And so
Do you want to share the active link, or which one do you want to share?
share the active link so
Okay.
that they can interact with it. And then when we get to the point where we're cloning the repo, they can do that as well.
Okay, cool. Active
So,
link is shared.
so this is the experience that we're going to create, right? Um, your experience, the one we're doing from scratch, it's going to look exactly like this, but
Mhm.
the one that you modify will. So when you get here, you're going to connect your wallet. And once you have your wallet connected, you should be able to route based on.
For everybody watching, this is on Solana, so you will need a Solana-based wallet like Phantom Wallet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that is actually part of the instructions. So I'm glad you brought it up. So to get your Phantom wallet, you're going to want to go here. So you're going to go to phantom.app, and I'll show it. You're going to then go to download. You're going to click on your browser, or if you're on your phone, I myself am on Chrome, and then you're going to add the extension. Right. So once you have it, it's going to ask you to create a 12 or 24 word passphrase, which you'll use. Don't worry if you don't intend to use Solana for long, just make it, copy it somewhere, paste it in there, and use it. If you intend to have it and utilize it, write it down. Don't copy and paste it anywhere.
Phantom Wallet's a really good wallet, actually. Like with all the wallets that I played with, I would have to say Phantom Wallet is probably like in the top 3 of my favorite wallets to use, honestly. Like that one's it's pretty legit. Like it's the standard for anything I do, like with Solana stuff.
Yeah, I've talked to the
Yeah.
team too. They're very nice and very helpful as well.
Hmm.
Shout out to Phil for connecting me with Phantom
Nice.
several. All right, so we'll go. Hopefully, our installation is done. But if you haven't installed that, if you have installed that, you're good to go. The only other thing you might need is you might need to go to a faucet. So we'll have this website called Soul Faucet. .com. No,
Techno's airdropping us all a little bit of Sol right now, guys. Don't worry.
I actually could do
No, I'm just kidding.
that.
Don't do that. We'll have all these farmers coming into the workshop when airdrop, when Techno airdrop.
Here we go. So if you need any Soul on the DevNet, you can go here and get it. You just put your wallet address in there, right? And you click on DevNet, and it should send you some money, right? It's fake money, so don't get too excited. But
Soul Faucet. I'm gonna try to get that link right now. Bear with me. Yeah, I'll put that link in there.
I'll send that to you in the chat.
I went ahead and posted in there.
Yep. All right. So once you have that, you should be good. The next piece of this is that you're going to, I think our installation is done. I'm just going to check real quick. All right, so our installation is complete. You're going to need to CD into your file. So we're going to CD into Token and we're going to start messing around with stuff, right? So as you can see, we have pages instead of apps, so we're good to start. If you have VS Code installed, you should be able to use the command code space dot. If you don't, you're going to have to install VS Code.
A little tip from Windows users listening: I do code space dot dash R, and that takes me right to the path that I have my like CLR with, like either it's MS DOS or PowerShell, and that'll take me right to the like library instead of having like to go through the path. Takes me right there. Like when I discovered that, I was like, "Whoa, how come I didn't know that?" So code dot space dash R, and that'll take you right to the directory.
Ooh. But before we get into that, we're going to go through this demo real quick. So what we're doing and what we're going to create is we're going to create a similar experience for this. So to start, you're going to have a wallet connection function. You're going to connect your wallet. Your wallet's going to appear here, right? After your wallet's connected, it should check and see whether or not you're inside the collection. If you are, you should get to this page that says your gated content. The SDK has this here, right? I don't know if the SDK is the right word, but the kit has it here, right? So you can do the same thing. It's very simple, but we're going to go through how to create this process and how you might customize it to give a experience for your users. So please bear with me. We're doing good on time.
Mm-hmm. So where we're at right now, for anybody that's just catching up, is we just downloaded our Next.js 12, and we have the base framework. The GitHub is pasted a little bit above the comments, and you can follow along, or you can fork it and move it. And Techno's going to show us what to do from that base template from Next.js.
I think this is it.
Perfect.
You
Yeah,
guys,
there's the pages layout. Yeah.
okay, cool. So we're gonna set this up, get it going. So very first thing we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to make all of our pieces to build, right? So you need a components folder for sure.
What components are, and this took me a long time because I'm not a front end dev, is like all the pieces that you do to make a website instead of like building them from scratch. Like you can put buttons here, you can put links or characters that you can use over and over again, knobs to a door. You don't want to have to make a door and then build a knob every time you make the door. You just make a whole bunch of doors and then you add the knobs in later because you have one model file. So, just that's where you would probably put your components to build all those modular type of websites.
Give me 1 second. Let me put my dog up. Hey,
Sure.
go to your
It's got that dog on him. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I know we're still a little bit early into the coding part, but if you have any questions about maybe how he implements it or anything, go ahead and feel free to ask.
Apologize. Okay, so we're gonna start by building our components. The first set that we're gonna build is generally gonna build your footer, right? I'm gonna drop a file in there probably. Index. Do header.
Now, curious question, Techno, as you're doing this, that you're making folders and you're doing the index.tsx. Uh, I do, maybe it's bad practice, but I just literally create a footer.txx in the components folder. Any particular reason why you do that structure?
I do the structure because generally I will build multiple versions of a front, like a header, or multiple versions of a footer body, right? And so it's easier to navigate to it and change it in your
Mm,
code without having to like go through a spider web of files, if that makes sense. It's just
yeah,
more organized because you might switch the header based on the page you're on, and it just makes more sense just to swap out something fairly simply, like without having to, because you could name everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just cycle through your headers like that if you wanted to.
right, right. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Let's see. I'll do sections. Everybody has their own methodologies. For me, this is the most clean way of doing it. All right. So we have this. I think the next set of things we need to build is a context for our wallet. And then we might want to add assets. And we have styles already, types, right? So I'm going to start by doing the populating the files. So the very first file we need to make is our env. Uh, could just do env. We're going to do this file. All right. Not going to explain everything. I'm just going to do some stuff. I'll explain the token gating stuff.
Sure. For those watching that don't know what a .env is, it's how you kind of hide some of your variables. Like if you have a paid subscription for an API, and then you post that to your site, everybody can see it. So with the .env, you can hide those valuable, snippets of information that make everything work. Maybe it's a contract address. Maybe when you deploy, it's a private key. But most of the time, it's an API that you are subscribing for, and you don't want people to use it. That's kind of how you hide it in the front end interface. And then when you host it somewhere, there's a way to get that information.
So now we're going to make our API reference file, right? And so in here, we're going to have some important pieces to this. I'm going to copy and paste this from the code, but we'll explain each piece momentarily. So in here, right, we're importing information from the Web3.js library that Solana has created. Specifically, we're importing the public key and the connection capabilities. We're also going to be importing from our config file that we haven't created our devnet RPC address and our mainnet RPC address as well. So one of the other things we're importing is Metaplex. It's a library that is for NFTs on Solana. We'll be utilizing this to check the user's wallets to see what they have, and also to verify ownership to access the page, right?
Good.
And so other than that, this function right here is checking your RPC, right? And then here we're assigning the metadata smart contract address, right? And then this function right here is an important function for us, is going to um, select um, the symbol of your collection that's unique, right? And use this to decide whether or not you are eligible to access the page, right? You can use other methods, but today we're going to use a symbol as the kind of identifier.
Got it. Got it. So like EVM developers like me, like basically importing ethers.js, VM, or Web3.js libraries, and then configurations is like the RPC setups, and then we're just filtering it out by the token name, specifically to that contract.
So next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the config. So your config might look different, but this is a very simple config, so there's nothing to worry about. We're just going to have our RPC link here for mainnet and for DevNet. All this is going to be inside the repository. We encourage you guys to use it and customize it and fork it. We really want you to fork it because it's fun. But it's an easy way to get started. And we verified it does build on AWS and other cloud storage locations or cloud development applications. So if you just want to deploy it, you can. That's all.
Got it. A quick question on this one, Techno. Like the way you have your config file, is that the way it's mostly done in like Solana type of interfaces when you're checking like the RPCs and connections?
Yeah, it's actually really simple. You just address it. Also, if you have any backends or APIs that you want to add in there, you set up your config file, drop your APIs, so you can call it in your application relatively easily.
Got it. Because usually like just for EVM development myself, like I usually all the guys that I follow go through the pages and then they do the app TSX and then all the information and RPCs are done that way. So like would that be like a major difference? Or for any EVMs, do you add like this config file as well and then import it?
So I have a repo that has an example where we have Ethereum and Solana in it.
Got it.
We still have our ABIs in there. We still have the same type of reference that you're talking about. It's done the same. So
Yeah, cool.
this is specific to Solana. Generally, when we have those systems in there, the config files are different, and so we don't even mix them. There's no need.
It's like easier in Solana, honestly. It's like a config file, right? Doesn't get intermixed.
Yeah, we call them programs because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Smart contracts are buzzword,
Yeah,
but it's a program.
got it.
State machines. All right. So next thing we need to set up is our package JSON. So we need to get this our dependencies, and then we're gonna more than likely to reinstall everything. So let's get this named properly. Token gate. Okay. So
While he's doing that, we're just downloading like the add-ons, like those that Solana, the Web3.js import files. That's why when he pasted them down, they had red lines because they don't know what the library is. So you see that huge list. We're downloading all these libraries and support just to get that up and running.
I think we need any of this. Give me 1 second. I just need to scrub this real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, we built this from our cross chain iteration. We saw the WAGB in there, so got a few pieces that we're supposed to remove.
No worries. Yeah, like package JSONs can get really, really large. Like when you're working on a whole bunch of crazy stuff. The bigger the packages, the bigger the size of your site or your whole project, honestly.
Yeah, we want to keep this super small if possible.
Otherwise, you're like me that has like 30 gigs of node modules that I have to clear up because I've never done it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, need that one. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. That or any of that. And then I don't think we.
And a lot of these tools are like what makes your life a little bit easier, like CSS or specific libraries that do specific things. Like if you're doing an allow list, like a Merkle tree or something, there's already libraries for it. You don't have to build it from scratch. So you can just import those things in and then use them as tools, like modularly, right? Like a component.
100%. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding which libraries you need is paramount to building out any type of application because libraries expire. and so you might have to update them from time to time. And
Mhm.
that's the kind of, I want to say, Achilles heel to this decentralized world when you deploy for decentralized running is that eventually you might have to update it
Yeah. Yeah.
because the dependencies get old.
And this is like the biggest value from this thing as you're downloading the packages. Like for me, like I see all these cool things that happen in like mainnet for EVM, right? Like you have these Alchemy NFT viewers, you have Anchor has these NFT tools, but the moment you want to go to some other chain and use that library, it's not supported. Like I want to go to Gnosis chain, I want to do this or you do that. Well, I can't use those same tools anymore. So then, like what used to make my life easy if I'm mainnet, I can't take those same tools on any other chain I want, especially if I wanted to go to a whole other chain like Solana, right? So like having the ability to do what you're doing right now with the repo gives real value because you're not bounded by any specific one tool to say, oh, you can't go on this chain or this chain because we don't support it yet. So having the able to like fork this and then make your own token gating system, I think is what brings the most value to the workshop for those kind of like just catching in right now.
Oh yeah, so this everything we're doing here, you can translate to, like I said at the beginning, you can
Hmm.
translate to Ethereum, Tezos, Bitcoin,
Yeah.
Sui, any blockchain.
Yeah.
The universal concept, if that makes sense. So we have our TS config. Did we do types already? No, we didn't.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and answer them. We can multitask or I'll help out the best I can until Techno can translate them.
All right. I think we are might be good to go. So now that everything is kind of set up, we're gonna go install it again. Just trust. Actually, I can do it from here. I forgot. Terminal. Where is it? There you go.
Yeah, I love VS Code terminal. That's my thing. I don't even use like shell or anything.
I was gonna pull out Vim on you guys. It's gonna fly.
Yeah.
But we can do it in here. All right, here we go. So I'm going to run this real quick. So we're going to do a yarn install. It's going to, oh,
You might have an error on the package.json.
yeah, I see it. There.
Live coding, folks. This is it. Where's the missing comma, or the extra comma? So now we're just pulling all those libraries down. We're pulling them right down to the local machine so it can be used on there. As this is going up, like what is your general flow process? Like, do you do the header first? Do you do your like footer? Like last week we were talking with Jaja Blinky about his flow of creating the site. Like, what's your flow?
Generally, it's a fork and go. So I created the headers a whole last year ago, and I don't change them unless I need to. So, like the same thing I'm asking you guys to do, I do the same thing. So I will fork my own code, right? I will start from there. If I need to update the header, I will. But generally, everything's placed the way I need it or want it, and I will change the links. So if I need to change the routing, I'll just change the routes and move on with my life.
I feel you. Yeah. You
Like,
already did the work once, right? So why keep doing it over and over again?
yeah, in production, there's no point to doing things over and over and over. You're just wasting time.
Right. So basically Techno has done all the work on the repo, right? All you theoretically have to do is just fork it and just like modify it to your needs. It's pretty much ready to go for Solana. Does it have any EVM on there, or is it Solana just for now on that repo?
This repo I did initially before I pulled everything out of it. Had it was as you saw set up for Solana and Ethereum. Right.
Mm.
There is another repo that we have. It's a mono repo. I'll provide you the link. It is cross chain integrated. So
Okay.
if you wanted to, you could go in there. It has all of this in there, but this one's just boiled down to token gating and Web3 routing, right? And so you can
Gotcha.
look at the other one as well. But
Okay.
this one, we ripped all that out so we can keep this tutorial simple.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Appreciate it on that. Sometimes you see like a cool repo, and then I'm like blown away with like all the extra stuff, and then tracing everything from back, from beginning to end. I'm reverse engineering this thing when I just want one simple thing. It makes repos tough sometimes, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it's generally they give you a mono repo and it has everything in there. It's a little crazy, especially when you have like 20 branches. Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fun.
yeah. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this, man? Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, what we can do is just finish setting up some of these files. It
Okay.
doesn't do it for us. So we're definitely going to need these. .c.ts. So we're just making sure that our types don't give us any errors when we build this out and we run it, because type errors are a mofo. I'm trying not to curse, but I'm a pirate, so you know what Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to build out our styles. So the way I do this is I have styles that are organized based on what they're for. Same thing I did with the components. So I like to do SCSS. So we'll do this one, which is SCS. No, actually. All right, there we go. I'm just going to see.
And for those watching along, CSS is the way you style your page. Like it gives it the look instead of like the 90s, single black text line. This gives it its style, like Microsoft Word, and you get to pick a font and how big it is, how small it is, how it spaces out. This is what it is. And do you like what CSS framework do you use, Techno?
Right now I'm using SCSS. I think it's SAS. That's what it's called.
Okay. I use Tailwind. Like that's pretty much my go-to because I feel comfortable with it.
I'm still learning Tailwind. I can use it. My team uses it. I
Mm.
myself, I just built everything from scratch. I came in
Theme.
HTML,
Yeah,
PHP, so
yeah.
I like to do everything from scratch.
What influenced me a lot on why I even went with Tailwind was when I'm looking at repos from other projects, a lot of people were using TypeScript and they were using Tailwind. So like instead of trying to like figure it out and like try to like navigate it, I was like, I'm just gonna learn it. And so that's literally why I got influenced into doing TypeScript and like learning Tailwind because I kind of understood what was going on, but I was tired of limping along, so I figured I'd just learn that.
So I agree. I agree. It's easier to use a framework like Bootstrap for Tailwind.
Mhm.
I don't recommend you guys going and doing this all by yourself, because as you see, there's 1,000 lines here,
Yeah.
and no point in doing that.
Yeah.
So fork and go.
Yeah,
That's
it's already been
it.
pre-configured for the look. It's all about look and spacing in the CSS. So if you like, you want to modify the way something looks, then you can go into the CSS pages and modify as you need it. But these are kind of like already like if you were to use a template wizard on Square, right? And you wanted a theme or a look, basically this is the theme that he's giving you. It's like one theme, but like if you wanted to change that, you could literally change it here in the directions that you want. But if you like the look, then just keep it as is.
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything in the repo you can use. I might not have put the MIT on there. I'll put it on there later. Only thing you can't, like, if you want, you can use my logo, but it's not your logo.
You see all these text logo. Is it text algo or how do you say it?
So it's Texaglow, like the
Text.
gas station Texaco,
Okay,
digital oil, right? That's what
there
we're
you
called.
go.
All right, so we got the header, got the main. I think we got this one. Just to be sure. No, it's not. Let's see. No. Right. All right. S. Control S. Just a couple shortcuts for you guys. Control A, Control C, Control V.
Yeah,
All right.
it's better than Copilot. Control C. That's it. And like some people dedicate like their whole career on CSS. Like that's a whole thing of like drawing stuff and making images, and that's like their whole thing.
To each his own, you know.
Yeah,
If you want to do that, have fun.
yeah,
We need you.
yeah. Designers, like when I do, don't trust me for designing, right? Like it's just gonna be so like mechanical. There's no flavor to it.
I can design. It's tedious, you know.
Hmm.
You got a million and one things to do.
Yeah, like you're building your contract and you're building your front end, and by that time you just want to launch, and you don't really care how it looks because it functions.
I've had to get past it. I got my ass whooped for that one. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. This is the community workshop. We're good.
Yeah, my lady is a designer, and so that doesn't
Nice.
flow in my household.
Very cool. Yeah, that's cool.
She makes sure that I have everything on point if possible, and then we work with a lot of artists, so they generally don't let me walk out the door without looking straight. So you can't
How
with me.
how do you usually like find your artists? Is it something recommended, or you see something that looks dope and then you reach out, or like what's that flow like too as you're doing this?
I started out in the art world before I got into tech, right?
Oh, okay.
I was doing high art and painting and digital stuff before I ever touched code. And so
Got it.
uh, just vibe, if that makes sense. I hang out with a lot of musicians and artists, rappers, and the like, and I've worked with a lot too. Can't say on here, I'll tell you later, but generally they like my vibes. We hang out, generally figure out what they're doing, and I'll tell them what's going on, and I'll help them out with some stuff, and then I'll reach out like, hey, yo, I want to call in a favor. I need some help with something. Can you look at this and give me some pointers? And then I'll usually just do the work to just do it real quick because it's so easy for them. I'm
Hmm.
not saying it's easy, but it's comes natural that they
Yeah.
just do it. Me, I never really got into the professional aspect of it. It was more like did it in college and high school, you know. But
Yeah.
I talk to people like that,
Yeah.
so they don't mind. But generally, if you're cool, you will attract the people that you want in your life. So you just gotta be a flower. That's the best way I put it.
And why do I attract so many scammers, Techno? What's up?
I can't say it's.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe you're putting off Mark energy. I don't know. I've been scammed a couple times in this space. I learned my lesson, but
uh,
it's one of those things.
yeah, we'll see. So far, maybe I didn't even realize I got scammed, but so far I'm batting 1,000. So we'll see. We'll see. The day's still early though. We'll see.
Okay, so everything's good here. Looks like our build is done too. Okay,
Cool.
so I think that got pages of public. Oh, we need images. Okay, let me see if I can just drag these over.
So right now we're literally working like with a blank slate on the base layer. If you downloaded like Next.js Direct, all it is kind of like when you load the page, it's like it just says Next.js with a couple links out there. So what Techno, I was gonna say crypto, what Techno's doing is kind of just like he has the site already loaded out, so he's loading it with the pictures, loading it with the style for CSS. That way, it's kind of like ready to go with all the images. You can replace those images with your images, just kind of like drag and drop.
Exactly. Like
Hmm.
this is very modular. And
Hmm.
the way we're building it is industry standard. Some might argue with me, but let's get in a ring and fight. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Like we have our own ways of doing stuff.
That's the most wild thing. Like, woke up to a challenge flyer from Patrick. Like, we're fighting right here. We're gonna do it at ETH Denver. I'm kind of like, well, look, fuck it, let's do it.
I learned from the best. You know, Elon has taken on Mark. He said, "Catch me outside." So
Yeah,
every time I disagree with somebody in tech, I'm going to tell them to catch me outside.
there it is.
When and where?
Yeah, who you got, Techno? Do you have Musk or Zuck?
Sheesh. Ah, definitely. I want to say I think that Zuck is gonna win, but I think that that Musk is gonna pull out the belt and whip his ass. Like I don't wanna count against the Elon. He's the king of the space.
Techno doesn't want to get his Twitter banned. That's what it is,
I can ban my Twitter. I'll build another one.
No, I think Zuck will rock him, but I think Elon's going to be on the roids. He's going to be so pumped up, so full of drugs and whatever. He's going to break his arm. He's going to keep feeling it.
You think
Yeah,
so?
yeah, 100%.
Oh no.
They're going to come in hot, no question.
Yeah, I saw Zuck. He did some. Supposedly has a belt in
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know, like you're seeing Iron Man, right?
mm,
They're these CEOs. They fight like they have trainers and stuff. So you never know. Elon, he might be able to stick and move. He's always around these robots, so he knows how to dodge a robotic arm or two. You know,
we'll
unless
see.
they're fast. All right, so we just set up our context, right? And so generally in here, this is actually a relic of the Ethereum integration. You would have your uh, smart contract address here, but we're not.
Can you lower the terminal a little bit so we can see a little bit more of the code?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Yeah,
apologize. There's not anything there, but
yeah.
there you go. So here would be your your smart contract address.
Right. That would be like 0x, whatever you deployed it to.
Yes. We're gonna leave it blank. Don't cause any errors. So
And that's going to be a string, right? Like it's not a straight round number, it's a string
yes,
between the two. Okay.
yes, it has to be in quotation. Otherwise, you're gonna get an error.
Got it.
All right. So this one is for our Solana, right? Oh no, this is actually the other artifact. Okay, yeah, don't need this actually. Just extra stuff. All right, so let's start populating our components. So we're gonna add in our footer, right? By myself, you can put whatever you want. I have my company stuff there, so you can say D underscore D. That is the best. All right, let's go. Add in our header, and then we're also going to need to, looks like, have our styles for our header. Drop it over here. So you could add your styles anywhere, just for anybody that doesn't know front end. The only thing is you want to point to it correctly. So if you don't point to it correctly, it's not going to work. So I'll show you in a second. We have import statements up here, right? And we don't need this. What is that actually? So this right here is a Discord model integration. Don't really need it, but it's here. That should fix it, I think. We'll see in a second. So got your footer, you got your header. I want to put some content in your footer. For me, now we need to add in our header. Some other header, okay. Oop. So you accidentally delete something, you always have the command Control Z, but it doesn't always work. Alright, looks like everything is good. Only thing is that it looks like we need an assets component or assets folder. How are we doing on time? Are we going over?
We're okay. We're at the hour. We got a few minutes on there.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of break down the imports.
Try to move a little bit faster. So we're gonna throw in our fonts, our logos. Copy that. Okay, I didn't. So you might not need all those fonts, but it helps.
So you bring in your fonts manually that way, right? You don't import it, you just bring it in.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that. I would always have to do like all this Next.js config or Tailwind config for fonts. I didn't know you can just straight do that.
You just
Live and
drop it.
learn. Live and learn.
Let's see. Why is it not doing this?
All the front end devs are like cringing at me right now. Not a front end dev, guys. I'm forced into it.
So you see these red lines, it just means something's referenced incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do it manually. Oh. Do it. But not wanting to.
We'll see how it goes when you run it. Sometimes like mine doesn't update for a while too on VS Code.
Yeah, oh, I don't need this. Also unchecked. We do need this though. So component.
Excuse me.
I swear, I thought we weren't gonna make the time.
And we'll just cover those imports shortly too.
So we'll do this. So not what we're gonna do. Okay, there we go. See how that one went away.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, you might have to hunt and go through each one and find where you have a dependency issue or not. All right, so we have one more. Okay, we need to add our hero section. And I think we're off to the races at this point. So
Before we get like loaded, let's just go through like the library list, like what each one does for all the imports.
there you go. Okay, so what are the questions?
Oh no, like before we go live with it, if we can go back into the imports to explain like what each one does and like what's the purpose of each import.
On each file or in
For the primary ones, like you know, all like the imports, like obviously the images are the images, but like this use wallet, like what is it? Why does it have the parenthesis, or what is it, the brackets, right? Versus importing the entire library. Like you're specifically using use wallet, and you specifically get all FTs that new from the API.
So the technical reason for these brackets, I don't remember.
Well, for me, like my interpretation is like why, like instead of importing the whole library into that module, we're only importing that one specific export out. Like we only want that one function or that one like argument in there. So
Mhm.
that's what we're looking for.
Yes,
Yep.
because generally you can actually do it where you have it like this. You have a comma and like that, and you can do the same thing as well.
Right.
But um, if you were to add multiple references, you would add a comma, add your next reference,
Hmm.
and as you see, it's not highlighted, meaning it's not used in your code. Also, it's not in this library right here.
Right. Doesn't exist.
So if we go here, we do control and click, should take you to the file where it's referenced. And this is an exported inside this use wallet um, function, set of functions actually.
And that's from the imported library that you got from
From Solana.
Solana. Right.
Yes. So I'm going to save this. Save for this. So get all NFTs. This is from our API file that we made earlier. This is that function I was telling you guys we're going to need to pay attention to. If we change the symbol, it should change the authentication method. So this is referencing our API. This is why I created it earlier, our API file.
And that's in the root directory called api.tsx.
Yes.
So if you were going to fork this and then use it for your own, and you wanted to use a name of your NFT, that's where you would change it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Use router. This is part of the tutorial. So this is a native next function, right? So we're importing it from the library next router, and it'll allow us to point people to different pages. So this is where we're going to reside. So we're going to start pretty soon on the context. So this function right here, start handle, right? This is the one that we need to pay attention to. So we have our main export right here, which is the main layout, right? But we have these references. So we're going to reference the wallet and the router wallet from the Solana library and the router from the next JS router library, right? And so we're going to create a constant called handle, right? And we're going to make it synchronous, and we're going to start checking a few things. So one of the things we want to check is we want to see if the wallet is connected, and that's why we put this function here. So if the wallet is not connected, and that's what this exclamation mark means, we are going to give you a message that you need to connect your wallet. And so if we go back to the application just to see how it will look in practice, um, we're creating this piece. So if I go in and disconnect my wallet, I don't know if you can see my wallet here, but I'm going into the settings and I am going to my trusted applications and revoking access. You might have seen the wallet get disconnected just now. And so See that arrow right there? That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing. So I don't like it in the top right. We're going to move that to the bottom right because.
Gotcha. And toast is what gives it that little pop-up thing, right? Like that's that kind of modular activity to give it that pop-up.
So we're bringing in Toastify, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, and so your toast is that message. It's like an alert for HTML or JS,
Mm-hmm.
similar. So moving that to the bottom because I don't like that at the top. It's kind of blocking buttons and stuff. All right, so this function right here is just checking to see if they have their wallet connected. And then this await function right here is going to check and see.
You got to switch back to your original screen.
I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. And we're back.
So one. And there we go. That's the right one. Here we go. Awesome. All right. So now we have this await function, right? And it's calling the get all NFTs, which is this function over here that we made earlier. Again, we're going to check the symbol and verify that the person has the correct NFT with the right symbol. And the cool thing on Solana, I don't quite know about Ethereum, is that only one person can have that symbol, that ticker, right? Multiple people can't have that ticker. So it's first come, first serve. And I think most of the good ones are taken already, but you can still try.
Got it.
But okay, so we're going to go back to explaining this heroes section. So in this, right, we're going to check and see if they have the correct NFT. If they pass that check, now we're going to see how many they have in their wallet, right? And so you see this greater than or equal symbol, right? And so if they have more than one, if they have at least one, right, they will be routed to the gated page, right? If they have less than one, they're going to go to the 404, right? And this is your Web3 route. So we're using Web3 to route them specifically, right? So the other part to this is that we're going to gate the pages. So even if they know how to get to the pages and they're trying to do something shady, right? They can't, right? You know how you have those paywalls um, at any of these publishers. Uh, Funny thing, I won't tell you how I know this, but you can disable all of the paywall completely. You can break that thing down piece by piece if you wanted to, going into the console. You can eliminate the shader, you can eliminate the box, you can read the content, right? This prevents that. And so what happens is it checks your wallet every time you go to the page. If you're not the correct person, one, if your wallet's not connected, it's not going to load any of the content. Two, if your wallet's connected and you're the incorrect person, it's going to kick you off the page completely, and it's going to give you a message that you need to be a member, if that makes sense. So after that, we're done, and we're going to go to our return statement, right? And so here we are pulling in our header, right? Generally, I'm not going to go too much into naming conventions here, but you're going to pull your header, you're going to reference it, style it a little bit. Here's your text. I actually need to remove that. Artifact all the way up, right? And then you rest your text with styles, and then here's your button, right? And so, excuse me, we styled this div already, right? To have those the purple kind of colors.
Mm-hmm.
But as you see, we have the on click, the handle, right? And we have our styles here. And it says start here. So whenever the user clicks on it, it's going to start this function up here. and it's going to check and see if they have the NFT in their wallet, and it's going to route them based on what they hold. You can actually add multiple functions. So if we wanted to add in here a couple else statements, we can do
Like you can make it a special NFT if they had, or like, let's say tokens. Like if they had 200 go here, 4,000 go here, 10,000 go here, kind of thing, right? Like you
yeah.
could just kind of like do if else's all day if you really wanted to. I mean, not that many, but
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't actually. That wouldn't be the right way to do it. That
like a
would be.
switch.
Yeah, you want to do a switch case.
Yeah, yeah. Not too many. That's why I said not too many. Trying to save face on that one. Yeah.
But you could, right? But
Mhm.
essentially, you would put with the thresholds that you would want it to switch, or in our config, we would have multiple smart contract addresses, and we would switch based on which smart contract address the token is associated with.
All
So
right.
if you wanted to identify by USDC, if you wanted to identify by NFT collector, or if you wanted to identify by which cryptocurrency they're holding, you could.
Right.
Now, you might not be able to check because not all wallets have every
Right.
cryptocurrency. You can partition it
Right.
that way.
So real quick question, and this, and I'm not sure if this is covered on here, but there's a lot of softwares. I use it myself, like Impersonate. So where I can impersonate another wallet and act like it. And so like that's how I keep track of like some of my hardware wallets. And one of the things that is required, so like I can't get to the content, is to sign. So show proof that I have ownership of the wallet.
So the beautiful thing there is you have to sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So like is that built into Solana as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
People can send you things, but they can't take things from you. Right.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I was just curious, like with impersonator, it's a very popular thing that I use. Just because I keep track of my wallets and I can't sign it to show that I'm the owner of the wallet for a lot of these wallets. So I impersonate them. So like the theory is like, well, if I didn't have this NFT, I could just impersonate the wallet that owns it and then get the access to the content. I'm not gonna say which websites let you do that, but I'm just saying it can. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So I think we need. I'm with you. I think we
yeah.
need one more. We have a couple more pieces to build, and then we're done. Right.
Okay.
So the rest of this is just setting up our pages. So we can do that real quick. So we need to most definitely just rename these. Go straight forward. TSX, and boom, you got a new file type. Watch that.
Mhm.
It's that simple. Reassigned. All right. So you need to set up your app, your underscore. I don't know why they do this, but it's a convention I've gotten used to. So set this up. Make sure all your references are good. Me myself don't like Bootstrap on this. Everything's good here. We're making sure the network is on DevNet.
Okay.
Props are set. RPCs are set.
Okay. So
And then
it is very similar to like a EVM setup too, like where you're wrapping your component with all the wrappers, basically the wallet providers, connection providers, all the providers out there that exist on there, but you're just importing them in from an outside section in a sense, like your config files and stuff. Not,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And the cool part is if you set this up properly without SSR, you can deploy this onto Arweave statically.
Hmm. So I do it like I do like with the next I do the next build, so it gives me a local static file and then I'll upload it from there. Or Fleek will do it. I know that like when I try to do a build for IPFS, it
Mhm.
has a built-in one. I don't know if it has it for Arweave yet, but like I learned that next build will give me a static site.
Yes, it does. And
Yeah,
you can do it with Fleek last time I checked, but you have to make sure that SSR is it's disabled on all your components. If it's enabled anywhere, it's not going to work well.
right, right. That was one thing like when I did that like interactive NFT, I didn't want to like just make an HTML page because I was just like messing around and I didn't want to do it. So like I did the next build and it made me the static HTML page with everything kind of like compressed, and that's how I was able to load it into the NFT directly. So it would be like the NFT, the website in the NFT, so it would have the interactive, ability to do so. So for those looking to like make interactive NFTs with the website or JavaScript based, like it's probably not the best practice to do it, but you could do it if you want to do it with like Next.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's a couple different methods
Yeah.
for modifying NFTs. One of them is what you said, right? The
Hmm.
other way is you can write it inside the smart contract, and you can have parameters for it to switch to the different
Yeah.
representations. Or if you want to do it more, how to put it, Web 2.5, you can set up an S3 bucket or a Google Cloud
Yeah.
location, and you can modify it that way. But you also want to make sure that you have your metadata in the original copy somewhere so that it can
Yeah.
be set without someone having rug risk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like one super cool thing I'm thinking of, like as you're token gating it, is like in the NFT itself, since it is a website and then it is tied into a token, like you use something within the NFT to like unlock the piece that will actually let you get into the website as well. Like it's probably extra work to get to a site, but like in the NFT, you have to like navigate in the NFT, and
You
then like yeah,
you can do
yeah,
that here. You can
yeah,
actually lock the whole page so they get to it, and if they come to the page, you can have it reroute them to
yeah,
a Rickroll or something. I actually did that in one of my tutorials.
yeah. I love it. I love it.
So they're not the right person, they get Rickrolled. And they'll forever think that that website's a Rickroll, but
Yeah.
the right person comes, they get to see all the whatever you have there. Let me see. So we need to make our, so now we're making our gated page. Okay, so we're gonna create our gate.tsx and our 404. Everybody needs a 404. And your document. Cool part. Okay, so we got our app, we got our document. Let's grab that real quick. And in here, we're just grabbing some extra style sheets from Google,
Mhm.
and we're just making sure everything's set up. And I am definitely removing that because I don't need that. Just gonna break it. Sheesh. I'll add it later. It's in yours. It's not in this one. I took it out earlier. But it's in the one that's uploaded on GitHub. It's completely
Okay.
fine. So stop your 404, which is really straightforward. You just put something there so when someone goes to the
Yeah.
page you're supposed to, you have something to show them. So welcome to the site, right?
Hmm.
So now we're going to get to the gated page. This is the sauce, right? You can do these. Beautiful part is we actually built a tool so you don't have to do all this manual work. You can just build gated pages. But we'll go into that in another video. So, actually, don't need this one. Okay. All right, cool. So, here,
Hmm.
we're gonna break this down real quick. Okay. So we have all our import statements. So we have our next page to go to the next page, use effect. We have our styles. Oh, this is not correct because I renamed that. But it's funny. It'll give you errors on some things and not on others.
Yeah. Next.js is kind of finicky sometimes.
Yeah, the cool part is you won't notice it until you build it. You'll send it to AWS and it'll give you an error. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
think this one was there. There we go. Perfect.
And
All right.
that's just like the CSS
Mhm.
look. Yeah.
So we imported our RPCs here just to check stuff from our config file, which is here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is how we route our calls to the Solana blockchain
Mm-hmm.
relatively fast. You can set up your own RPC. Shout out to QuickNode. Shout out to Alchemy. Right. And who's the preferred RPC provider for D?
Maybe quick node. Maybe, maybe. Yeah.
Take back the Alchemy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
That's
you
just a look. Yeah.
have your router, right? And then your toast. So this is that message that we're sending out when there's an error or something we want to notify the users.
Mm-hmm.
Our wallet connections, and then we're calling that get all NFTs again,
Yeah.
right? And then we can remove that comment because it's not necessary. And then we're calling our Web3.js
Okay.
library from Solana. Okay.
Okay.
So what is that noise? That's kind of scary. So we're going to do the same thing we're doing on the other page. We're just verifying that they are connected, and then we're going to let them view the page if they have the correct wallet and
Right.
they're connected. And we're not going to let them view the page. We're going to kick them off the page if they're not connected and they don't have the right wallet.
Got it. So, okay. So, like, you go to the main page, right? And then it checks you have your wallet, and then it routes you to the right page. And then on the page itself, it's checking again. So, like, if you gave your link, oh, you have the NFT, but you want to give it to your friend that doesn't have the NFT, here's the link. It is here. When they do it, it's going to check again. Say you don't have the NFT, and it's going to drop them out. It's
Yes.
basically where the magic's happening. Okay.
Yes. And
Yeah.
there's a couple other things you want to do. We're not going through it right now because
Hmm.
this take too long.
Yeah.
You're also going to scrub the data. So the data is not going to load on the page. So even if they somehow were able to keep the page open, they won't get any data from the page. It's not going to load unless you have the right credentials. Your access is correct. So again, we're checking the wallet, we're checking the connection. This is our router, right? Doing the NFT check right here. Based on which NFT they have, we're going to route them specifically. So we're saying here, if they have less than 1 or 0 NFTs, right, we're going to route them to the index page with this comma, right? This comma, not comma, forward slash. That represents your index. You can write index if you want, or you can push them anywhere. Like if we want to push them to a Rickroll them, we can push them to the Rickroll, which I might just do for the giggles.
Yeah. You can
Okay.
take it anywhere you want. Like you can go to Disney.com, whatever, or right to your marketplace of your NFT shop, right? Get one here.
There we go. Oh, give me 2 seconds. And grab a link to this. We're gonna make sure we don't play it, right? So we don't get demonetized. But just know, you click on this link, you're not supposed to be there. You get rickrolled. Right? All right. So we have this error that's going to pop up on the page, right? When they go there, if they're not the right holder, right, and it's gonna kick them out, and it's gonna pop this message up, right? And so say, hey, you need to be a member.
Yeah.
Right? You could also add a link so they could go to your purchase page. You could do whatever you want, but right now this is the stock, right? So it's going to throw an error inside the. Also going to throw another error, right? It's also going to drop it inside the. What's it called? The console, right? So we're checking it again, right? If they have the NFT, right, and they're a holder, it's going to let them access the page, and they should see this return statement, which is your data content. And with that, we are done.
Nice.
We can try to run this. I think it might run. It might give me an error because I didn't have my MUI styles installed, but we will see real quick.
Yeah. I mean, the dangers of live coding, right? Like it might work, might not. But for those, like I'll put the repo again for anybody that came in a little bit later, just to see what it's like. It is on Solana, just in case. So if you don't have Phantom Wallet, grab a Phantom Wallet. But let me go ahead and put that in there. But yeah, I mean, so the use effect is kind of like checking for any changes on like on the page, right? Like if they disconnect the wallet, the use effect is then going to run it again to then do like the check. And like I would assume, like if they are moving the NFT from wallet to wallet, it will check because then the NFT will no longer be there. So like the use effect will then run again.
It should. Oh,
Yep.
I think it's gonna work.
There we go.
I think we didn't run into any errors.
Nice.
But with that, we have successfully gated the page, checked for a entity, and protected your content. And you can. Oh, we got a type error. So yeah,
Bootstrap.
yeah, we removed Bootstrap, and so
Yeah.
we're at issue. But if you grab the stock code, it will work out the box. Now,
Yep.
the build time might be a long time. It might take 300 to 600 seconds, but it'll work.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Very cool, Techno. I'm not sure if we have any questions in the audience, but we're right at the ticker time. So good timing. But like just to recap, like this is like a website that you can fork and go. I just would put the GitHub on there where you can token gate your website. If you're kind of late to the workshop or you want to watch it again a little bit later, it'll take you all the way explaining what each thing does of how to specifically token gate. It's built for Solana, but you might have an EVM one as well, right? Like you have a repo out there that you may share, maybe in the README.
Yeah, the repo is up. It's public, and it has both. It has
Got
both.
it. Okay.
It's actually a kit to allow you to create a community page. And
Mhm.
so it has Ethereum and Solana integrated, so you can drop any type of entities in there. You just have to change out the ABI, you have to change out the smart contract addresses, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're like me and you're not like on any specific chain, I'll be in an Arbitrum and then I'll be in Optimism and then I'll be on Osis and then maybe try Ethereum and you'll be frustrated because not every tool works on every chain, but this does, right? So like you can use this repo as like a go-to for any like token gating that you want to do, and good luck, Can they reach out to you, Techno? Like are you available?
I'm always available, right?
Yeah.
So you can reach me at my email, which I'm not going to put on here, but if you guys reach out to my YouTube channel, right, which I think it's Technoking or Technoking's Fireside Chats, right? You can reach out to me there. You can reach out to me on Discord, which is Technoking 7760, right? Or just Technoking because I claimed it before anybody else did, right? And or you can reach me on Twitter, which is underscore it's at Textglow underscore techno, right? I might have
Mhm.
changed it, but oh no, Textglow.x actually. So
Yeah.
you can reach me there. But I'm
Awesome.
willing to help, and we do a lot of open source code, and we help small businesses and artists and creators all the time. So we're not opposed. Like if you ask me for my phone number, not my money, I might give it to you. You can just
Give me
text.
some money, Techno.
Yeah, if you're a developer, I might give you some money, right? Because there's always
Yeah.
work to do. But if you're anybody else, just reach out if you need some help, and we'll help you out.
Cool, cool. Awesome. All right. We're going to go offline in a minute, but thank you so much, Techno. Mm.
It's always a pleasure.